Good afternoon and happy Friday. Meteorologist Aaron White here. Thanks for joining us here for another edition of our 10 Weather Impact Show here on 10 TV Plus. Today's story, of course, we all know it's been crazy windy here as we've been tracking winds gusting 40, 50, close to 60 miles per hour this afternoon, and going to keep that going. That's, of course, why we have this 10 weather impact alert here for today as we are tracking these winds gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour and in some places even higher than that here. There are some gusts up to close to 70 miles per hour in parts of Indiana here this afternoon. So pretty wild day, but we are going to get through and we'll see some calmer conditions looking ahead to the day tomorrow. But here's a live look outside right now as we are tracking some sunshine. That's the nice thing about today, but it is quite windy. Our winds are sustained. You can kind of see the camera shaking there a little bit. Winds are sustained out of the southwest at 26 miles per hour, but the gusts are even higher than that, getting gusts upwards of, 60 miles per hour in some places. So very windy. So here's a look at the highest wind gusts that we have seen so far today. And in Columbus, just in the last 20 minutes, the wind is now gusting to 58 miles per hour. We had a 55 mile per hour gust at Washington Courthouse, and look at that, 62 mile per hour wind gust in Marion and a 63 mile per hour wind gust up there in Mansfield. So very strong winds here for today. We may actually see some higher wind gusts as we continue through this afternoon, so just be aware of that. It's going to continue to stay windy all the way through this evening. And eventually, though, we will start to talk about some better conditions as we look ahead to tonight going into the day tomorrow. So this is a look at our map. This is showing that high wind warning that we have in effect here across the area. It does include the Columbus Metro. It includes Delaware. It includes Circleville, Lancaster, and points to the north where we are seeing some of those higher wind gusts, 55 to 65 miles per hour here for today. Further south, there is a wind advisory in effect where we are going to continue with those high wind gusts as well, 45 to 55 miles per hour. So everyone's going to see the wind, or at least feel the wind here for today before we see those calmer conditions looking ahead to tomorrow. So why? Why is it so windy? Well, it has to do with the overall setup that we have here for today. I mentioned this yesterday. The setup is still the same here for today. We have high pressure to our south and east. We have a strong low pressure system there over the Great Lakes, and because these two systems are so close together, all the air that's rotating around the high pressure system and then rotating around that low pressure system, basically getting funneled right here through Ohio, kicking those winds sustained at 25 to 35 miles per hour, but the gusts again, getting closer to 60, and in some places in Indiana, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So as we continue on through today, we are going to continue to see some winds gusting, 50 to 60, 65 miles per hour here through this afternoon. Eventually, though, as we head later on into this evening, you can see the winds are going to gradually start to diminish as we head into tomorrow. May still see a few gusts getting up close to 20 miles per hour tomorrow morning. By noon on Saturday, not looking too bad. So it will get better. It will also be getting a bit cooler here as we head into the start of the weekend. Now, as we go through the hour-by-hour forecast, we did track a couple rain and snow showers across central and northern Ohio earlier this morning. Didn't really amount to that much. That has all since cleared out. We got the sunshine now this afternoon, and as we continue on, we are going to see just a few scattered clouds here and there. Nothing really right home about here for tonight. As we go into tomorrow morning, likely some sunshine to start off our Saturday, but there will be some clouds rolling in here, especially later in the day going into our Sunday. However, as we talk about Sunday's forecast, that is going to be a day where we see a bit of change because winds are going to start to kick in out of the south and not going to be quite as strong as we have here today, but it's going to be fairly breezy. But southerly winds are going to help to warm us up, and maybe a little bit of sunshine here periodically as we go through your Sunday. And our temperatures will actually get up into the upper 60s and lower 70s here. So a return to some mild temperatures. However, it's not going to last because a cold front's going to kick in, and that's going to arrive here Sunday night, Monday morning. And with it, it's going to bring a line of some showers and potential thunderstorms here for Monday morning. So do be aware of that. We are tracking that potential. There's actually a chance that some of this activity could be severe in parts of Indiana where there is a risk of severe weather. For us, the risk likely not there. We will be keeping an eye on that. If these storms can hold together and remain strong, we could see at least a low end potential here going into your Monday morning. But in any case, we are at least tracking, a round of some rain, some rumbles of thunder here. Behind that, that's our cold front, and that's going to knock down our temperatures down into the 30s here, looking ahead to Monday afternoon, and highs are only in the 30s as we look ahead to the day on Tuesday. Now for tonight, we will be dropping down to the 30s, 31 degrees for a low. For tomorrow, we are tracking temperatures up into the upper 40s, so a bit chilly here as we go through the day. And then you'll notice our temperatures do rebound, low 70s here on Sunday. But then we get that cold front and we'll see the chance for some rain, maybe a couple snowflakes trying to mix in as we go into the day on Monday morning. And then eventually our temperatures will be taking even more of a tumble here as we go through the next couple of days. I know the high missing right there, but we are expecting high temperatures to be into the 30s as we go through the extended forecast, eventually rebounding to the 50s as we head later on into the week by Thursday and Friday. Highs are in the 50s, but yet we're tracking yet another chance for rain. So a bit of things going on here for today. And as we continue our weather coverage, now the biggest concern, of course, with the strong wind potential today, down trees, power lines, and some outages. With the strong winds, the AEP says the plan to bring in additional 400 line workers from outside of Ohio to help. And 10 TV's Kristen McFarland reports from Marysville.
With gusty winds, there's that chance for downed trees, power lines, and ultimately power outages.
More than 2,000 AEP workers are prepared to respond to strong, gusty winds, with some places expected to see up to 55 miles per hour. Dylan Brown, Central Ohio Operations Manager for AEP Ohio, says downed trees during high winds can create extremely dangerous situations. AEP recommends staying away from any downed power lines, remaining indoors when possible, and reporting any potential hazards, especially trees near power lines.
We have noticed with all this rain, as the soil is very soft, we have big, beautiful trees out right now that, with the soft soil, they can fall over onto our lines and equipment and cause outages.
Dylan also recommends having an emergency preparedness kit ready and keeping your electronics charged in case you get stuck outside.
The Ohio Department of Transportation wants drivers to be safe and alert and aware on the roads, especially those big trucks on the highways. Reporting in Marysville, Kristen McFarland, 10 TV News.
All right, thank you, Kristen, for that update. And more than 2,000 AEP workers are prepared to respond to strong, gusty winds, with some places expected to see those winds gusting, again, over 60 miles per hour. And just a note about some of the power outages here today. There's been more than 70,000 customers without power in northwestern parts of Ohio, especially where we've seen those gusts, getting closer to 65 and potential for gusts even up to 75 or up to 70 miles per hour here today. And as we are talking about everything that's going on here with those extreme winds, of course, that can cause dangerous situations, AEP recommends staying away from any down power lines, remaining indoors when possible, and reporting any potential hazards, especially trees near those power lines. And just to mention, there is that means no open fires for today, because there is a burn ban across the entire state here from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. They want to remind you about the burn ban. That means no open fires from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. through May 31st. Outdoor burning is limited to only dry grass, weeds, and leaves. The ODNR says strong winds could make fires more intense and dangerous. And of course, remember, for all the latest weather alerts, breaking news, you can download the free 10 TV app on your phone. Just make sure to turn on notifications so you can stay in the know about what's going on. And of course, we're talking about the high winds here in Ohio, but the high winds are also causing issues across many parts of the country. In fact, millions are facing impacts from strong winds throughout this Friday. Tori Mason reports from Fort Collins, Colorado, with some of the damage seen there.
Heavy gusts had drivers clenching the wheel on I-25. In Fort Collins, wind snapped trees, barely missing homes. This one fell on City Hall.
Spell your name? Oh my God.
Mark Reed was blown away.
Wow, it's been really crazy. I live on the 10th floor and it's pretty windy up there, so.
He lives at Park Lane Towers at Howes and Magnolia. This morning, he felt like the roof could fly off. A few hours later, a part of it did.
I don't have any idea how they're going to fix it.
Ryan was doing contract work on another floor when it happened.
And one of the elevators was closed, and I asked the maintenance guy, why is it closed? And he told me the roof blew off. And I was like, what? What do you mean?
Wind sent large chunks of debris down the block, closing the intersection to traffic. Neighbors like Jerry couldn't leave anyway.
I'm in the parking garage and I can't get my car out.
She says there's damage you can't see.
We just put new antennas up on the roof. They were screwed into steel, and those have blown off.
Fortunately, no one was injured, but they worry what else these dry winds may bring.
We need moisture really bad, so this is concerning for sure.
And now to some news about our environment. Previous studies of penguins have found most plastic the birds consume is white, and new research suggests they actually prefer that color. Scientists in New Zealand presented dozens of penguins with different color bottle caps, something they're known to ingest. The birds try to eat the white ones almost twice as often as the black ones, and 45% more often than red or blue. And researchers believe this attraction is pre-existing sensory bias because white resembles prey like squid or fish, as well as penguins' own feather colors.
So not only is white plastic a triple threat, it's found more commonly in the ocean, it's found more commonly in the guts, but now it's also preferred by the penguins. So we recommend reducing plastics overall, but also maybe reducing white plastic color usage.
And definitely some interesting findings there. And according to the American Chemical Society, white and clear plastics make up nearly half of all litter in the ocean. And another climate impact we have seen a lot of recently is drought in different parts of the country, including parts of Ohio. Northwestern Ohio still dealing with some severe to extreme drought conditions. And as we come out of the winter months, there is still, of course, moderate drought in such places as Minnesota. And that drought, along with rising fuel prices, has farmers worried. John Lauriston shows us why the challenges Minnesota farmers are facing before the spring planting season.
It's a very large area. Geographically speaking, this drought covers a very, very large area.
Darren Johnson is president of the Minnesota Soybean Growers Association, and he farms just north of the Iowa border. He says the southwestern part of the state is way behind when it comes to soil moisture, with spring planting a month away.
We have really had almost zero for snow cover since late November, early December. It's a little bit concerning going into the spring because we can dry out so easily.
The dry conditions in some parts of the state are an environmental challenge, but Minnesota farmers are also at the mercy of rising input costs. In particular, the cost of diesel fuel has risen by nearly $1 over the past week.
Well, ag is a big cycle.
Matt Farr is an extension educator with University of Minnesota. He says when fuel prices go up, fertilizer and other costs often follow suit.
So farmers are thinking right now, where can I make some cuts to my budget? Try and grow this crop as efficiently, cheaply as possible.
Making cuts comes at a time when tariffs and trade deals are in flux, especially when it comes to soybeans. Farr says all these challenges have contributed to some farmers leaving the business altogether. He's hoping resiliency and a few breaks gets the Minnesota farm economy back to where it needs to be.
I think everybody wants to help the Minnesota farmer through this time period, make a plan. How do we get through this tough season ahead of us?
John Lordson, WCCO News.
And finally today, let's check out some new video here into us here at 10 TV. As we are talking about, of course, the high winds across here in Ohio. Check out these images from Montana on Thursday. Everyone is okay, but the images are heart-stopping. Deputies and Park County Rural Fire responded to a semi blown over in the area around milepost 350 westbound on Interstate 90. And while they were on scene, another semi blew over onto a deputy's vehicle. He was inside the vehicle at the time, but only thankfully sustained minor injuries, wasn't more serious than that. They did request the interstate be shut down at Big Timber until they could actually clear the scene and the wind was able to settle down. But definitely a scary sight there, of course, with those high winds, gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour. Some of those winds did actually make their way across parts of the Dakotas into Minnesota last night, and of course eventually made their way here as we're seeing those winds gusting 50 to 65 miles per hour here for today. So eventually all areas will start to see these winds settle down and some quieter conditions in the forecast before they actually talk about some winter weather coming back in. And one final blast of winter video to wrap up our Impact Show for today. This time from over in Finland, traditional reindeer racing that's been delighting fans for decades in Finland has drawn crowds of spectators despite, of course, freezing sub-zero temperatures. The competition is held at a remote location near the Russian border, about 164 miles northeast of the city of Oslo. Oulu. The reindeer gallop at speeds, their reins pulling forward. The riders on skis, as always, the fastest wins the race. And spectators came not only from Finland, but also Italy, Norway, Germany, and France, and many other European countries. Reindeer have been an important part of the Scandinavian culture for many decades, especially for some of the indigenous people in the far north. So, pretty cool side. Of course, it's still wintertime, and definitely some colder temperatures up there. We don't have to worry about that really cold temperatures for quite some time. We are tracking temperatures warming up into the 50s for today. We got close to the low 70s coming our way here as we head into Sunday. Thankfully, we are going to be seeing some quieter conditions as we head into next week. But as I mentioned with our 7-day forecast, if we want to take a look at the 7-day forecast here one more time, we are tracking those temperatures turning a bit colder here as we head into next week. We see temperatures dropping down from the 70s on Sunday down to the 50s as we head into Monday morning. That is the morning temperature, because by the afternoon we'll likely be down into the 20s and 30s here on your Monday afternoon. And you'll see Tuesday there, St. Patrick's Day, pretty chilly, 19 in the morning, 32 for a high in the afternoon, and then a slow warm up back to the 50s as we head towards Thursday and Friday. So overall, a pretty wild 7-day forecast, but we are tracking, of course, some better conditions as we get into the middle to end of next week. So that'll do it for us here today on the 10 Weather Impact Show. Thanks for joining us here. We'll have more updates coming up later on this afternoon. I'll be taking a look at some of those high wind gusts here across the state of Ohio, because I'm sure by about 4 or 5 p.m., we're going to see some gusts well over 60 miles per hour. So make sure to tune in for that. And of course, you can always catch more news and weather online as always at 10tv.com.